There we go. Hey, we're live. It is September 21st, 2025. Welcome to the first Squared Circle Pro Hangover, a part of the Unfiltered podcast. I am Tyler Anderson. The internet knows me as Tyler Liger, and I am here with a very special guest off to my left. DRAVEN Reeves, the Heck Yeah Radio SCP iPPV. Where are my viewers? Okay, there. Well, DRAVEN, you're back. I'm back. Okay, all right, cool. What is this live stream without a little bit of scuff? I mean, am I right or am I right?
I guess you're right.
Anywho, I was in the middle of introducing you, so I'll finish the introduction real quick. The Heck Yeah Radio Squared Circle Pro iPPV champion, DRAVEN Reeves, the certified go-getter. DRAVEN, welcome to the show. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on.
I am glad to be here, man. I'm just glad to be able to air out some grievances and also maybe just shoot the stuff with you. And,
yeah, you can say shoot the shit with me. I don't mind. You know,
I don't know our language parameters, and I don't want to get kicked out.
Okay, I got you. No problem. So, hey, like for the uninitiated, for the people that are just tuning in for the first time, give a little bit of an introduction about yourself, because you were telling me about yourself before. You were telling me about yourself like before we jumped on, but I mean, here's the chance to kind of introduce yourself like formally this time. So
I'm the certified go-getter, DRAVEN Reeves. I was born and raised in Amarillo, Texas. I trained in Amarillo, Texas. I've met people like Terry Funk, Ted DiBiase, got to do seminars with people like former WWE's Kalisto. I've met Dr. Tom Pritchard. I've met Rodney Mack. I actually am currently in the works of hopefully I'm working my butt off to try and get signed by the NWA. So I'm going to Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, and I did a seminar with TSW Wrestling, which will be airing on television soon, or I think they've already started airing, and it'll be all over the West Texas area. And I've been in this business for about 7 years now, training for close to 8. And I'm also now associated with Lubbock Pro 101. And that's who I am, and that's what I do. I'm also a blue belt taekwondo, for those of you who want to call me a fake wrestler. I also have a legitimate background. So,
ooh, man, got some kicks to you. Well, cool deal. Hey, I think just asking like, okay, he's echoing. Okay, I'm reading chat right now. There's still a slight echo, but we'll work through it. So, but if all fails, you can turn off your external speakers if you have any external speakers.
External speakers.
Because Ed's in the chat and he's.
Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can still hear you. Hear you.
You can still hear me like that? Was it echo?
Oh, no. You should be fine now. I can hear you just fine. So cool. All right. If I can hear you just fine, I think everybody else can hear me just fine. But okay. Anywho, yeah. That's awesome, man. You're getting yourself around.
Yeah, I'm trying to, man. It's difficult. One of the things Dr. Tom always talk about is physically being where you need to be is the hardest part about being a professional wrestler, because it's all about timing, right place, right time, right gimmick, right character. So, yeah, trying to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's all about timing for a lot of people. To be honest with you, I trained underneath Rex Reed when way back when, probably about 2010 or so. My gosh, that just aged me really fast. Yeah, like, and during that year, that was when Rex was trying to get onto Dragon Gate USA, because that was a thing back then. So, and he got on the show, and then he got on another show because he did really well, and the Japanese guys really liked him, and Sapolsky kind of overlooked him a little bit, but like, it was Shingo that noticed him because they worked together in San Antonio in the past. And yeah, sometimes it just this is a Diamond Dallas Page quote that I always took with me, even through like pro wrestling in college and in journal and later in journalism. Is it's not about what you know, it's about who you, and it's not even about who you know. It really comes down to who's willing to speak up for you. And I mean, that's, you know, and if you got some really good friends in your corner, I mean, you're going places. And, you know, sometimes it takes, hey, you know, I'm just one person away from meeting somebody really cool that can take me to some really cool places. So.
Yeah, exactly. I've been blessed enough to know Tino Valentino. He's been in my corner since day one. I actually met him in training, my first day ever training, and he's just an athlete from hell. And so to have somebody like that in my corner and who's really smart and intelligent with his business, there's nothing like it, man. That's literally one of my best friends of all time. He's shown me the way, for a lack of better terms.
Sure. Yeah. And getting to meet him, like, you know, kind of formally last night, what a class act guy. He is fantastic. Just so humble. I was like, hey man, what a fun match that you put on. He was like, oh, thank you so much. And I mean, that's, you know, that's the best. I mean, that's all you can ask for, is just somebody that, you know, just appreciates the ride and, you know, and just, you know, takes those things humbly and says, hey, I just want to do the best I can each time I go out there. And, because at the end of the day, we're entertaining fans and we're having fun. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay, so I think I'm gonna move on to recapping the show real quick, and then once we get to your part, I will let you I will let it rip. I will let you I will pop you off the leash, as they say. And first match, Les Hommes, Morgan Slade, Julius Trajan, Kyle Hoxton, Mateo Navarro versus Los Canales, Cesar Torres, JC Bravo, with Mateo El Feo, Lee Excel's least favorite mascot, going up against, and they also had Cisco Kid and Jesse James with brother Joshua James. Really exciting match, really great opener. I don't have video for it because the video is not up on YouTube yet, so we're gonna wing it together. You know, really fun opener. Morgan Slade probably had like really Morgan Shade. He corrected me last night, and he was like, it's okay, you can. I guess there were two Slades running around, but it's Shade, I think. Okay, but he hit the spot of the night out for me was essentially he had his pink cowboy hat on pretty much during the first half of the match. Like for the majority of the match, he had that on through the moves and everything. It was so good. Then, well, of course, Los Canales, Cisco Kid, and Jesse James won. That evolved into a triple threat match between Cisco Kid, Jesse James, and Joshua James, all from Amarillo. So all people that you're familiar with.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Jesse James comes out on top, and he just says, yeah, I'm going to join the LC administration. And speaking of Morgan Shade, Ed tells me that he loved it when he was putting his ass in other people's faces. So the stink face is still as popular as ever. Then it goes into your match. So actually we're right into it. So you being defending champion with Paula Fate, and Paula, I've known Paula for a long time. Paula, in her time, really good wrestler. I mean, I'm sure you can attest she's probably even better manager. She's got a great mind for the business, and I've always been her advocate since day one. Yeah, just call me Paul Heyman. Against JP Nitro in Terra. It kind of ends with a little bit of an intriguing entry to intriguing ending, to say the least. Paul is like, hey, Let's just take the count out. You don't lose anything, and yeah, you didn't lose anything. Champion's advantage. So yeah, I'll let you have that one.
So, as I stated at the beginning of the night, if you remember,
Mm-hmm.
I am a fighting champion. I've defended it almost every show since I've had it. I will do whatever it takes. And when I say whatever it takes, I mean that. And I proved it again to make sure that that belt stays with me and stays with the LZ administration. Paula has the exact same agenda. Now then, JP, great wrestler, great guy. Heck, I got to tag team with him one time. He did not deserve a rematch for said champion because he did not win, and I actually pinned him. No matter what the circumstances were, no matter how I did it, I put his shoulders to the mat. 1, 2, 3. Somehow he gets a rematch, probably TJ's doing, even though he was not there last night. JP still got his rematch. Okay, no problem. His wife decided to get involved. I tried to take care of that situation. I had to do Kyle's job for him. And I got a little distracted with that situation, and JP took advantage of it.
Okay.
Now then, no problems there. Where the problem lies is I was knocked silly from the second Uranagi that I was given.
He gave you a lot of Uranagis, at least 3.
Well, maybe he tried to give it to me more because he was trying to win, and I don't blame him. Heck, I have the champion, and I understand that he might want it. There's a big target on your back when you hold the title like that. That's why I put it around my back is come get it. Now then, once again, back to the agenda thing. Paula knew the agenda. Paula knew that I was in a bad situation, so she just got me out of there because she's a great manager and a good person. So we had to do what we had to do. It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I totally believe you. I was like, champion's advantage. I mean, you could take the DQ. You could, I mean, because it wasn't like you weren't fighting him back or anything. I mean, it was a pretty good match. And then it was just like, hey, I got champion's advantage. I'll dip a little bit. I'll take it easy. I mean, not really taking it easy on yourself, but but Paula read the room and she was like, okay, all right, you good.
I'm a champion. There's no reason that I should have to keep fighting when I don't have to. If I don't have to keep going through this match, I don't have to keep putting myself through torture. Why should I? There's no reason for that whatsoever. I need to live to fight another day to defend my champion again.
Yeah. Heck yeah. And what a pretty belt at that too. It's really pretty.
I love it. I love having it. It's a little heavy when I'm carrying my bags around, but I love it. I love having it. I love being part of the LZ administration. I love every bit of that. And if people remember, I was one of the very first people outside of Steven Rimson to join the LZ administration.
Right.
When he offered it, I was the first one to jump inside of the ring and take full-blown advantage of it.
Nice. I mean, and I go back with Rick a long time. And I mean, along with, giving you an opportunity and saying, hey, I want you to be my, iPPV champion. He was the one that offered me like the spot on the spot at the table. And I was like, yeah, I can definitely help you out. And whatever happened to Chris, it happened. I mean, Lau kind of spat him in the face, but nothing, a lot of showers and a lot of face wash can't help. And I mean, and Chris was back. Like he was back at the commentary table with Cromwell and I. And I mean, I think it'll be okay. I mean, it's no problem. But I'm going to keep moving. La Migra, Diablo Blanco, Chris Watson against Aluevo and Jordan Slade. That kind of turned into that kind of went to where oh gosh, Lemigra came out on top. They retained. I mean, Lemigra doing Lemigra things, you know. And you know, there was a little bit of a disconnect between Aloevo and Jordan Slade, and then that kind of morphed into the that moved into the Island Street fight between Brian Rage Rivera, and I've known Brian for a very long time, and Baby Samoa. Not as familiar with Baby Samoa, but Baby Samoa comes out on top, and we find out that Jordan Slade was indeed the man behind the camera, behind all the attacks by Baby Samoa. So Baby Samoa has been one step ahead of Brian for quite some time. I would say for the last year or so. And it seems like, Chris was saying it earlier, like Chris was saying it last night. It was like, Brian, man, he's such a great guy, but he might be too trusting. So Brian might have to, he might have to switch gears a little bit. We had our intermission. We did everything we needed to do, and then Nolan Phillips he had a 2-on-1. He like initially he was flying solo, and then against two mystery opponents. We got Zach Morgan coming back, the Haddonfield, Illinois native, and Lau, the very mysterious man that spat in the face of Chris, drunk with power. And then Miles Journey comes out. We actually had Miles last week as a guest on the show, and he briefly teamed up with Nolan against two horror-themed villain guys, whatever you want to call them. But Miles kind of saw the light, just kind of like you did. So, but Nolan was kind of beaten up a little bit, and then, I mean, it was almost seamless. It kind of moved on to the main event with El Gringo Loco and Stefan Remsen versus Phoenix and Tino Valentino. Plenty of those guys. And great match, great tag match. Tino was kind of the good guy in peril for quite some time, because Gringo's so cerebral, and Stefan Remsen, he is just a wall. Like, he is just a wall of a man. Yeah, he is a wall of a man. I almost called him like I think I've been all throughout last night. I was calling him the insurance policy. So
yeah, glad to be on.
Yeah. The last thing I want to do is like take a spine buster from Stefan Remsen, because that looks like that could hurt.
I'm glad I don't have to take it as well. I'm just going to be really honest with you about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There was a no contest. There wasn't really much of a conclusion. So we have to see what happens as far as. And by the way, during the show, we had the return of Ryan Justice, another guy I've known for a long time. Yeah, I know you're shaking your head on Ryan Justice. And then, so like he comes back, he and Rick have kind of a civil discussion, to put it lightly. And then, we get, Rick wants to bring back the Rogue, but the question that everybody would ask is, what side would the Rogue play on? And when, Ryan showed back up at the end of the night, he had his Rogue attire on, and, it could be where he, Nolan, Phoenix, and Tino are, the four guys that's standing against the LC administration. But we'll see what happens. There's still more announcements to be made. But overall, very fun show. Really fun show. There was a little bit of a scare. I mean, I'll put on my journalism hat for a second. A little bit of a scare last night. Phoenix faints to end the show. He actually ended up being okay. It was with the suicide jive through the ropes onto everybody. And I'm not going to make presumptions of what happened, but but he ended up being okay by the end of the night. He's okay. Things march on. He'll have time to heal, and that's how we ended the show. So really fun.
Yeah, you forgot the part where Ryan punched me in the face with a chain.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I don't see any marks, so he did. I don't think he hit you too hard.
Well, I don't have a great quality camera, but anyway.
Well, cool deal. Well, that's kind of the SCP part of it, and now we'll transition into because Draven, you're the star of the show, man. You're the star of the show. We want to put the spotlight on you. So, talk about you're an Amarillo guy through and through. Oh gosh, you know what? Talk about where kind of where you started, or better yet, how about this? I mean, everybody talks about everybody's origin stories, right? Let's talk about favorite matches so far. What has been a match that matches that you've really, really enjoyed so far?
I've got quite a few actually, but one of my favorites of all time, we almost got match of the year for it. I'll start at the top and then kind of work my way down. I'll give you my top 5, okay?
Yeah.
Number one for sure is me and Tino Valentino got to wrestle at SCP, and that is one of my favorite matches of all time. One of the Briscoes, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. One of the Briscoes had just passed away, so I was kind of doing tribute to him. We kind of had some camo pants on and things like that, and we ended up getting to go out there and kind of put some reminiscence of whenever him and his brothers wrestling each other, we kind of put some stuff like that inside our match, and it was great. I think it was fantastic, and it was one of my better experiences because I've known Tino since day one of training, as I stated before. And so getting to go out there and wrestle a guy like that, it was just an incredible experience. And we almost got match of the year. And even one of the Long brothers, I believe it was Richie or Raymond, one of their favorite matches as well. And those guys go to wrestling shows constantly. So what a compliment from those guys.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite matches is also SCP. It was me and Rob Boris. Rob is a guy out of Dallas, comes from the DFW area. We had a really, really good match. Just some of the best reactions I've ever heard from people. And I busted his eye open.
Oh.
And it was just kind of icing on the cake for what we were going through. He kind of kept trying to push himself onto me, and I just don't roll that way. I don't think he rolls that way anymore, but he was trying to roll that way, and sometimes you got to fight fire with fire, so I kissed him on the lips, told him to pucker up for another one. He just so happened to be right where I needed him, and instead of giving him another kiss, I gave him a stamp of approval, so he is now certified Rob Boris, and gave him the 1, 2, 3 and called it a night.
Very nice.
I've got quite a few. I'll give you one. I'll just give you my top 3. I'll give you one more, and this one was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. The match that I just had with JP Nitro was it's up there. I think that was a fantastic match as well. Due to circumstances, it may not necessarily be some other people's favorite, but it's one of my favorites because, first of all, I got to keep the champion. And second of all, I think that there's a beautiful story going on right now with the LZ administration, and so that's definitely going to be up there as well.
Okay. Nice. All right. I get that. I get that. I mean, so I didn't have matches, but I had moments. I think I was telling you last night, or I might have been, I don't know who I remember telling. It was okay, so once upon a time, you know, when I was, when I took up the moniker of TL Hollowell, and if you ask, like, oh gosh, what the crap, Skip Terrific, he'll still call me TL Hollowell to this day.
Okay.
And yeah, and I was a manager. I managed Brandon McGregor. I remember that, and he was beefing with somebody that both of us are very familiar with, which is Damian Blood. And yeah, whenever when like, and I made the mistake of like, okay, like I was in there and I was kind of poking the bear a little bit. Of course, Damien being like, this otherworldly, like when he gets in the ring, he pretty much becomes a completely different person. Um, I had my back turned for a minute, and he basically stood back up, and I knew something was amiss when people started reacting, and and yeah, like I was given like kind of one of those blue thunder drivers, like just right over the shoulder. He sat it out, and oof, man, that was a crunchy one. And that I tell you about the SCP crowd. It is a bloodthirsty crowd. They love it when they see somebody die right before their eyes. It's it's almost like a blood sport. And I remember, and Damien can attest to this. Is I'm just laying there. I'm dead. I'm spread eagle, middle of the ring, and then people are like, "Do it again, do it again!" Like, so he leans over me and he's like, "I am so sorry. I'm gonna have to do this," and I'm like, "It's fine." So he picks me up and he gives it to me again, and then I mean, if I'm dead, like I am deader than dead. And then the crowd's like, take his shoes, because I actually had like a nice pair of Osiris sneakers, and
Oh,
yeah, like they were kind of they were the Top Gun theme to it. So yeah, he took my shoes. Thankfully he gave them back to me at a later time, but that was rough. That was a rough night for me. TL Hollowell died that night, and then well, Tyler Liger still lives, so
there you go.
here I am.
Here you are.
Here I
We see
am.
you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So road stories. I know we were talking last night. We were like, okay, all right, we got road stories.
Oh
The
yeah.
one I really enjoyed, that you gave me last night, was you and Tina Valentino chain wrestling to keep you guys awake. That
Yeah.
was too good.
We're headed to Kansas for a show, and we both have shoot jobs currently, and so we had just got off our shoot jobs, and we're headed to the show. And this is a few years ago, probably about 5 or 6 now, and because I was pretty green in the business, and so was he. And we're headed to Kansas to go work for a company called XWE, and we just cannot stay awake. We kept switching back and forth like every hour, every 30 minutes or so. And it's about an 8 hour drive there.
Hmm.
And we hit Oklahoma, and there is nothing on the road between because you just kind of kiss Oklahoma and then go into Kansas. Well, while we're on that highway, there is nothing. There's no gas stations, no rest areas. There's nothing, and we're just having a hard time staying awake. So we're like, well, let's just stretch our legs. And we step out of his truck to stretch our legs. And next thing you know, we're staring at each other, and we're like, all right, dude. So we started wrestling around just for a minute, just to kind of wake ourselves up and get the blood flowing. And there was one singular truck who was passing by us. They honked at us, and uh, they must have been entertained or knew what we were doing or something. They may have thought they weren't stopping. They just kept going, and we just did some real basic chaining, and then we got in the truck, and we were all amped up again and ready to go, and thinking about wrestling and talking about wrestling, and yeah,
Oh,
talking
that's
about our favorite
awesome.
match. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then the more recent road story isn't really. I wouldn't say it's not fun. It was just a lot, And this is kind of just to give a perspective of kind of what wrestlers or managers or referees kind of go through, because we all travel on the same road to get to the same destination, right? So we went to Forney, Texas, stayed in a hotel room, and we still working shoot jobs, right? Like, I mean, like this, the goal is to eventually make enough money to do this for a full time living someday. We're just not right there yet. Tino should be, but anyway, that's beside the point.
Sure.
We head to Forney because we got a TSW. We got a TSW show and seminar to be at the next day. They're running shows and trying to pick people out and this, that, and the other. And we overslept a little bit, and we're still like 30 minutes away from the actual venue. And so we had to drive up there. We get there. It's like Rodney Mack and Tim Storm and APOC and all those guys. And they're doing the speeches. And we walked in, and luckily we got there just before they broke us off into groups to tell us what we're going to be doing. So we break off into groups, do our thing. I was so tired from the traveling the night before and things like that. Me and my tag partner that we're running drills with tripped up on the ropes. And the ropes were like this big because they're real rope. They had to tape them up real heavy.
Wow.
So we tripped up on the ropes, and APOC comes over there, and he's like, "You guys need to know how you're going to get in the effing ring, man. You got, like both of you tripped up on it. You guys need to know how you're going to get in the effing ring. That is just part of what we do." Now, he said it just as nice as I did. He wasn't like yelling at us, but he was letting us know. So the anxiety is now through the roof. We're all over the place. We're tired. We're hungry. We're, just trying to make it. And we get to the end of the night. Me and my tag partner, which was actually Cisco Kid, we almost got picked for a match. Didn't quite get to. We're just running gear that night. Just trying to get our name out there. We're running gear and doing that. And come to find out, our names were brought up to possibly be in the show. We just so happened. And that's why it's one of my favorite stories, is because it's like, you think the tripping up on the ropes is going to get you in hot water, and you're definitely not being picked for the show because you don't know what you're doing. When in actuality, you showed them everything else you know how to do. And, we had pretty good timing, and me and him also had a good chemistry. And so our names got brought up for possibly being on the show. There just so happened to be another established tag team there, matching gear, looked better for TV, things like that. And they got the match, which doesn't discourage me at all. It is what it is. Yeah. But we go straight from that show back to the hotel to get maybe a couple hours of sleep, because we have to take a 4-hour drive to San Antonio for Dog Pound Championship Wrestling the next day. So we get there. We're working the match, and I worked like a clinic match, to show Rodney kind of what I can do and stuff. I'm working a guy with like a homeless gimmick, and I smack the cup out of his hand and flip him off, and blah, blah. You shake and change at me, and I was like, "I got something for you," and I flipped him off. But anyway, we worked the match, and we did real good. Got some constructive criticism from Rodney, and got told what we did good at, what we did bad at, and all that fun stuff. And next thing you know, there's two big guys working. Alluvio had actually come with us as well. We had a whole carload to save on gas, and Alluvio came with us, and he's working this other really big dude. Well, they broke the ring. The hook on the come-alongs that goes to the pole, they broke it. And so now there's like this emergency situation where Rodney, Jazz, and a whole bunch of other people are figuring out how to like rig the ring together as safe as possible so we can still work. And then a welder showed up. This is good about having connections in the wrestling business. A welder showed up, put it up. Now, it was welded up enough for them to hook it through, but they still kind of had to have like the rig together. But the clinic was over right then and there, and now we're all sitting there wondering, like, well, is anybody going to get picked for matches now? Or is, Thankfully, I had been there enough times, and Rodney had seen me enough times. He blessed me with a dark match, tag team match. And for those of you that don't know what a dark match is, a non-televised or not technically on the show match. You probably did know that, but I just want to clear everything.
Sure, you bet.
And we got that, and then we finished the show, helped tear down and all that fun stuff, and we're back in the car 8 hours all the way to Amarillo. Didn't get back to Amarillo until 7 a.m. So minimum sleep, minimum food, trying to save money as best as we can because, we're paying money to be on some of these things, which is just sometimes a part of the game because we're trying to get more knowledge and not just knowledge to be on TV, but more knowledge to come back home and work my SCP shows and work my BCWs and my SPCWs. And, I've been to Arkansas as well and, to work those shows. And yeah, but anyways, long story, I know, but, just this is kind of what we go through. And I love to tell it because even sleep deprived, even, anxiety, even, sometimes as wrestlers, we feel like maybe we're not ready for something like this. I still got a match. I still got my name out there in front of people who are extremely important to the business. We got a lot of knowledge and it was just, and I'm with some of my best friends in the world. It was me, Tino, Cisco, Jesse, Sean, and, we're in 2 separate carloads and just what a blessing, man. We had to shower at the gym, just in perspective, so we don't go to the show smelling like crap, and we had to work out food, and it's just a lot, man. It's just a lot, but I love telling that story.
It is, and I know I've told this many times, but so Rex Reed, myself, and Violent V went all the way out to, and we all know that Violent V's got a reputation. We get it, but it's not just limited to the egg salad sandwiches. But we made it all the way up to Philadelphia, and I'll tell this story until the end of time because it is really one of the cooler moments that you can run into in wrestling. I mean, we hardly had any sleep. We slept in the car. We made multiple stops, but it was mostly to go see things. So like on the way there, we stopped in St. Louis. We went to the Gateway Arch. We went to the Gateway Arch. We went to the Budweiser, the Anheuser-Busch main brewery. So we checked that place out, and it's nice. It's really, really cool. And then we went on the way to Louisville. We tried to go catch a Ring of Honor show, but we didn't know where the Danny Davis Arena was. So we drove around for like about an hour, and then we just kind of gave up. and then we ended up getting lost in like West Virginia because Rex pulled off somewhere because he was tired. We were all really tired. We were trying to take we were all just trying to sleep in the car or whatever. And then just switch between who's driving and who's not driving. And you'll get a kick of this. We rented out a car that absolutely positively did not have any cruise control. So we were working foot feet. We were working with like the gas the entire time. Like it was ridiculous. Oh, it was terrible. And then, but we did make it to Philadelphia. We stopped over at Gettysburg, and Gettysburg is kind of more of the spooky story that I can tell like around Halloween. But we get to Philadelphia. We had to pick up Chad Thomas from the airport, and Chad's a character. He's a character all his own, and then so Rex and V go into the airport to go get Chad from flying in because Chad was really fancy. Like he was like, oh, hey guys, like I'm flying in. I got the hotel room and everything. And we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Like no hotel rooms booked. We're just driving straight out there, and then we'll just drive straight on back. And it was so funny because I remember driving around the airport for like basically an hour, just driving in a circle, waiting for these 3 jokers to come out. Chad, Rex, and V finally come out. Chad gets a wild hair, and he says, hey, we're only 2 hours away from New York. Let's drive up to New York. So we did. We went up to Times Square, and we catcalled a lady that basically had her clothes in a drag-along igloo cooler. And she was just wearing a pair of booty shorts and like an I Heart New York t-shirt. She was not very pretty to look at. So, I mean, of course, Chad had to be like, just catcall and make fun of her and go up to the NYPD and be like, hey, what are you gonna do about this lady? Well, NYPD is like, dude, she ain't hurt nobody. Like, she ain't hurt nobody, man. Just leave her alone. And so he like and these goofballs. I mean, I say it out of love.
Yeah.
I say it out of love. They want to go see the Statue of Liberty like at like 2 a.m. Oh, hey man, let's go see the Statue of Liberty. It's like you either have to go all the way down to Battery Park, to go see the Statue of Liberty. Because I ended up going back to New York a few years later, and you either have to drive all the way down to Battery Park, and you don't want to really be there at night because it's not safe. If it was not safe back then, I mean, I can't imagine now. But there was that. Or I told the guys, I was like, hey, we have to go all the way over to New Jersey to go see it. And they didn't listen to me. So they drove around Manhattan all night, and we end up like in Harlem, like around 5 a.m. We like there's a car that like has a hand outstretched. They do this little gimmick, and that's like a drug deal that's supposed to go down or whatever. So we, it's like, oh man, we've been in New York, we've seen things. And then but we get back to Philadelphia. We get there about 7 a.m. We don't sleep for very long. We wake right back up, and then we head over to the ECW arena, which was a really cool place, like with all the history and everything. But yeah, it was we came in right in the middle of like kind of a right when they were doing tryouts for like outside talent coming in. And I just remember coming in, and I'm like, isn't that Cody Jones? Like, and now he was in Amarillo at the time. Now he's in Chicago, and he's doing good. But he's chain wrestling with Akira Tozawa, in the middle of this tryout match. And Rex and Chad look at each other, and they're like, everybody else is doing chain wrestling. Why don't we just do big moves? Just do big moves for our tryout match. So they get in there, they do the big moves, and then, Rex's finisher, well, now it's called the Zombie Killer. It's basically the power bomb into the lung blower.
Okay.
Yeah, it's he called it the Legacy Killer at the time, and because he was the first generation badass. And he for all the big moves, the Japanese guys were just going nuts. They were going crazy. And it really helped that like Rex knew like Shingo, and Rex knew a lot of guys because they worked with each other all in San Antonio. They were all so it's not about like what you know or who you know. It becomes like who do you know, like who's willing to speak up for you. And I mean they're all going nuts. They're all going nuts. And Gabe Sapolsky, who's there, he like, I really think of it like with Gabe Sapolsky moving around like he did. It was like how Rick moves around before shows. Trying to like make sure everything's all in order. I thought I was basically like, I had to like kind of double take, because I was like, is that Rick? Is that Rick Gelsey? No, that's Gabe Sapolsky. And I met him. Great guy. Really nice guy. With how far he's taken Evolve, and how WWE is kind of said, oh, hey, you're now the development territory for our development territory. And, I mean, that's awesome. But yeah, Rex. Rex, they finish up, and Gabe Sapolsky picks his tag team. It's these two big guys. And then he also picks a guy out of Boston called Scott Reed. And Scott, like, I only saw him once, and I never saw him ever again, like on anything. He looked good. Like he had a good body on him. Just big beefy guy, big meaty guy slapping meat. But he got on the show, and then there was a tag team. But this was really cool because at that moment, the Japanese guys were like, no, because they had a say over that Dragon Gate USA show. And they were like, no, 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 no. We want Rex, 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 Rex. And they're all chanting Rex. And so that's how Rex Reed got on the pre-show. And then he teamed up with Tommaso Ciampa. Like Tommaso Ciampa before he became Tommaso Ciampa. And they went up against Cheech and Cloudy at the show. And Ciampa gets knocked out during the match. Like you ever had that feeling where you get like you get knocked out. Like the lights are on but nobody's home, but you finish the match and then you come to like after, like in the back, and you're like, whoa, like did this just happen? Like, you know, where your body kind of goes into autopilot or whatever. And that happened to Ciampa. And it was off of, if I remember correctly, it was off of because they had Tommaso kind of in the corner, kind of the bottom turnbuckle in the corner, and one of either Cheech or Cloudy did a kind of a senton into the corner, and they hit Tommaso just right, just to knock him out silly. But they finished the match, and they go back, and like Tommaso comes to, and he's like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? And Rex is like, it's okay. The match is over. Like that was, you know, it was kind of a scary moment, but it was actually like, it was like Rex was like being reasonable Rex at the time. He was like, hey, it's okay. The match is over. You got knocked out. It's all good. Like we're in the back. The match is over. He ended up getting on another Dragon Gate show down the line. He traveled with a guy named the Manimal. He was basically a wrestler. Yeah, the Manimal. He looked like Captain Caveman. Yeah, I mean that's not a slight. I mean he dressed like kind of like a stereotypical caveman, and he had the beard and he had long hair, and he had the beard, and his actual name was Bull, like seriously, like Bull. Like,
I've met him before. He's worked for SCP a couple times.
Yeah, and they went together. Sapolsky didn't put the Manimal on the show. But he knew Rex, and Rex got on like a fatal 4-way in the pre-show, and had some really cool spots in that match, and it's up on YouTube. I think I should bring it on the stream and watch it sometime, because it's actually like a really, really fun match. And then, but I'm gonna rewind a little bit, because if you following that first show Rex was at, Shingo and Bryan Danielson, it was in between the time where in between Daniel Bryan getting fired for choking out Justin Roberts with the tie, and that getting caught on TV, in between, and then him coming back at SummerSlam to battle the Nexus.
Okay.
So, so Sapolsky, of course, books Danielson. He goes up against Shingo, and it's like a 40-minute match. It is brutal. It's like MMA elbows, like big moves, big crazy. They brought the house down, and they couldn't air it because like it was technically the no compete clause for Danielson was in effect, and Shingo, after having this 40-minute crazy match with Bryan Danielson, and I may have to ask Rex for confirmation for this, but I remember him telling the Iowa guys that I know, like Duke Cornell, Bogot, Sean Nautilus, the late Jason Strive, Shingo comes up to Rex, and he was like, because like at the time, one of Rex's finishers was called Death from Above. And it was basically like you were like, the setup was you're on all fours. Rex gets up to the top rope, and at the time he's a big dude. He's huge. Yeah. He's a big guy, and he does this. He jumps off. He jumps as high as he can and do this back senton onto you. And it looks devastating. but I bet you he just barely touches you, and it's mostly just canvas, the effect of everything going off. But it looks devastating, and it's an amazing move. Like I love it, but it looks like it's about to kill him when he goes up there, and
The name Death from Above.
yeah, it's literally death from above. And he did that during the match with Tommaso Ciampa against Cheech and Cloudy. And Shingo comes up after him after this 40-minute brutal match with Bryan Danielson. And he's like, "You like Pancake Man. You scary." I mean, I'll have to ask like about that sometime, about like, hey, did Shingo say anything to you? Because that was always kind of it's one of the funny stories that like Duke Cornell will tell. And I need to bring Duke on one of these days. He's the one-eyed snake man. But I go way back with Duke Cornell as well, and that was my long road story in a nutshell. That was the big epic one, and then the way back was even crazier. So I gotta save that for another time, because that one's the spooky one. That one's like where we went to Gettysburg and we wanted to go ghost hunting, and Rex and V decided to get cute, and they wanted to take like the rocks from Devil's Den of all places. And then they got spooked by a ghost story about like how bad luck travels with whoever takes anything from the battlefield, and they got kind of scared, so we had to go back to Devil's Den and drop some stuff off, and then they were drinking and I was driving, and oh gosh, it was nuts. But yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but. Oh man. Okay. Along with wrestling, I know you are a wrestling guy through and through. I know we brought this up with Miles last time, but what are some other things that like we wouldn't know about you just by looking at you?
Oh man. So I am a blue belt in Taekwondo, like I said earlier. So I was raised with a third degree black belt. My father's a third degree black belt in Taekwondo. And so, to put it lightly, spankings were not a thing in my household. We sparred most of the time if I got in trouble. I actually have a story about that real quick. I got in trouble one time, and the school I went to, martial arts school I went to, was they were training fighters at the time. And so these fighters, they had their own little fight division called IFC. And I had just watched this guy knock somebody cold out at one of those fights. Well, I got in trouble at school or at home, or I can't remember exactly what the story is. I got in trouble, and it was sparring time again. And instead of my dad sparring me, that guy sparred me, because he was lightweight and he was about my size, and I was 15 at the time and a little bit taller. And so we got in there to spar. I hit him square in the face. I mean, I have a background myself, so I got in there and I hit him square in the face, which he did not expect. So he unloaded on me. Now, when you're a kid like that, they're not in there trying to kill you. They're just trying to teach you a lesson. Yep. And so he just knew how to hit very accurate. Did you know that you can get the wind knocked out of you twice? I did not. I learned that. He punched me once in the solar plex, and so my hands dropped here, and he turned and he hit me in the liver. Just not hard, but accurate. I mean, it doesn't take much to the arteries and to your organs. You don't have to hit them very hard, but he hit accurate. And so I just plopped to the ground like a sack of rocks, and my dad called the timer, and let's just say we didn't have those problems anymore.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a father of two. I'm a husband. Those are things that you probably can't tell just right away, because everyone says I look too young to have kids. These days, you never know, right? So but yeah, I have two kids, one boy, one girl. I attend church regularly. I am a proud member of recovery, and played a few sports as a kid. Did like football, I did tennis, I dabbled in a little bit of everything. I didn't watch those sports, but I tried to get involved in them. So yeah, that's pretty much about. Oh, I'm also a huge figure collector. Me and
Okay.
Matt Cardona. I hope to God to meet that guy someday, so we can just talk about wrestling figures for hours.
Yeah.
I have my collection's actually right behind this camera. I also have my posters up and my Stone Cold collection up here and my Razor. Yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff. Also, I know how to play the drums, so
Okay.
there's that.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Ed has a question in the chat. So Draven, as a fighting champion, what do you believe you're truly fighting for? Not only as a wrestler, but also as a member of the LC administration.
We're fighting to make sure, Rick has said it, that we're not just meeting the status quo, we're going above and beyond. If we're talking about me personally fighting for, I'm fighting for my own ego at the end of the day. If you just want to keep it real with you, to keep
Sure.
feeding my ego. And also, I am a champion, so I got to make sure it stays on me. So I'm fighting for that as well. There is a lot of, it's no secret, so I'm just going to say it. There's a lot of fighting in West Texas constantly,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that Rick has done his best to put a stop to that, and he's spent most of his time trying to stop that. But if anybody wants to go back and look at the promo that he cut and the realness that he showed, well, he's tired of the fighting, so we decided to just go ahead and join the war. And there's a war within itself in SCP, and so we just decided if you can't beat them, join them, right? So
Sure.
that's exactly what we did. We went ahead and just joined the war, and I think it's working out pretty well so far.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're working with, and knowing Rick for so long, his knowledge of the wrestling business is so deep, incredibly deep. Like, I mean, 4 decades of knowledge, not only, I mean, as a fan alone, and then you whittle it down to maybe about half of that, at most, being behind the scenes and knowing and being through enough shows to where, like, okay, you gain the innate knowledge. Now you're so deep into the rabbit hole, it's not to the point where you know everything or you've seen everything, but just about. So yeah, like I that's why when I always talk to Rick, I always learn something new coming out of him. Just because, and I'm like, I've known him for probably close to, oh gosh, almost, yeah, I would say pretty close to about, we initially met in 2008, maybe 2009, and I'm still learning something new every day from Rick. So yeah, if you want somebody to, if you got like, a few hours to burn and you want somebody, to ask, for their insights on, he's the guy. He's the dude.
I've sat in Waffle Houses with him and Denny's, and we've had conversations, and I've just picked his brain because he's been around, I mean, he's a little bit of an older gentleman, so he's been around to actually see, witness, and be a part of some of wrestling's greatest moments in the history of wrestling. And he wasn't just a guy who watched WWE, he watched it all. And, Amarillo used to be a really big wrestling town at one point. He got to be around for that as well. And just full disclosure, I was a child who wasn't fully aware of indie wrestling quite yet. I would like rent out TNA DVDs and Ring of Honor DVDs and things like that and recognize most of those guys. But my grandfather, he took it upon himself to try to find wrestling locally. We came across WWA. And that was my first introduction to Rick Elsey because I went there. I didn't know anybody there at the time. I didn't know indie wrestling was even a thing. I didn't even know some of these people were from Amarillo, and I got to see guys like Rex Reed and Damian Blood and Lilith Blood and Jordan Caleb's, and I got to see all these people. And my first 10 minutes of being in the building, there's this bigger guy wearing a black t-shirt with like green skulls all over it, or like some green smoky kind of skulls.
Mm-hmm.
He gets hit in the head with a chair and he's being taken out on a stretcher. And immediately, this is for me. This is where I'm in there for, like I said, maybe 5 minutes, and that's what I see. And as a kid, I thought it was one of the most amazing things I ever saw. I got to see Violet V, and Jordan Caleb's and another guy, I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. They were in a triple threat match, and I had never seen any kind of like death match wrestling in front of my face, or hardcore wrestling. And I just so happened to show up at a show where they're, killing each other. There was a light tube at one point. They had like broom with barbed wire wrapped in it. Somebody had one of those roller, a paint roller with thumbtacks on it. I was ecstatic as a kid, but my parents, my dad was all for it. My stepmom at the time, he got a divorce at one point, but anyway, my stepmom at the time, she she was not having it, so we had to leave as soon as that match was over.
Oh.
And they blamed it on the cold, because it was very cold in that building. But she was like, "We're just too cold. We don't want you to get sick, and you need to go home." Really, it was that was just a little bit too violent for their taste. So
Yeah, the WWE warehouse, man, they would have some Monday Night Massacres that would be completely balls to the walls. Like, okay, so I'm glad that you brought up the warehouse, because I'm old enough to where I spent all my Saturday nights going to the warehouse. It was my catharsis for the week. Like I worked at a garden center. Not the most fun job in the world. But the catharsis, what kept me going for so long, was for me to be able to go to the warehouse and really, just kind of let out all the frustration, like as a fan, like and just, and heckle guys. But and it's so funny because like people that I would go heckle or I go cheer for, they all became my friends like years later. And and there were some magical moments at the warehouse. Like every other month, like Jerry Lynn would come down. Oh gosh, Jerry Lynn, such a really cool guy. I'm glad that he's with AEW as like a road agent. Like he does, he can be able to still make a living and never have to take another bump. But yeah, like he's a great guy. And when like the time I met him, because he flew in, he came in for because after WWA kind of closed down, then it became Amarillo Elite Wrestling. The ownership changed hands, so it changed names. And the warehouse was still around, but it was after the warehouse had shut down. And then we had some outdoor shows. And unfortunately, it rained all day, so we couldn't have the show. So we just had Jerry Lynn hanging out with us almost the entire day. And it was really cool because he would talk about everything other than wrestling. Maybe out of the entire day, he may have spent maybe like 2 minutes talking about wrestling, and that was it. Everything else was music or, some other interest that he was into. What a really interesting guy to talk to. And then of course the big one is when Raven came in, against Bill Barnett, and Bill Barnett is, he's also a friend of mine as well. And he took the even flow DDT from Raven. And I honestly believe that, that was the biggest house, like the biggest show. Like I remember going to in the warehouse. And then when Raven dropped the DDT on Bill, because the main event was Jerry Lynn, Jerry Lynn versus Raven, and yeah, I just remember just the roof basically almost came off, just came unhinged, just because like Bill was just such a dastardly guy for so long, and to see him get his comeuppance was really cool. So, but yeah, that was a great show. That was so loaded. And SCP, like to this day, still has the name attached to those biggest shows of the year from WWA called Collision Course. So, yeah. Every Saturday night, man, that was like catharsis, and you know, and it was so good to see guys like Jason Zane, the Bomb City Juggalos, Rex Reed, El Gringo Loco, and I can't praise El Gringo Loco enough, even though people aren't like, people love to hate him, but I was like, dude, I've learned to love him, man, because he's just such a treasure.
Right.
And then you had other guys like, oh gosh, there was Pierce Price, and there was Ground Zero with Pierce Price and Greg. Gosh, I can't remember Greg's name anymore. I just know him as Greg. Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible. And then you had Tony Morales. Tony Morales would come in. He's now, I think he's up in Colorado now. And, but yeah, all those guys, like I was just like, I went from like, like going to the shows and going seeing them to, it's like, oh yeah, now they're all coming over to my house for a WrestleMania party. So yeah, it's an incredible ride. Wrestling's always been good, to me, even though like sometimes I'll step away from it, but it's good. It's just good to have like Rick there, and Rick opened up the door for me, and that's why I'm here today. Yeah. Speaking of the figures, which ones are your favorites?
Which ones are my favorites? Well, I've got a whole box full of them.
Okay.
So I've got a Cactus Jack figure that I love, pretty dear to my heart. I have a Seth Rollins figure I just bought. I have a Terry Funk figure. Obviously, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a Hack figure recently. That one's pretty cool. And then I have every version of Stone Cold Steve Austin you can think of. I have the 70 Steve. I have the Ringmaster. I have every single one you could possibly think of, like all of them. And when me and my wife got together, I also have the APA figures. Those are some of my favorites. I have the whole table and everything. My wife, when we got together, she bought me. She had a little bit of a hard time understanding my wrestling figure thing, but anyway, she got over it. She bought me a Shinsuke Nakamura figure, and that's one of my favorites.
Man.
Sentimental value, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we were talking, before the show about the Terry Funk figure that you had, where he signed it and then he gave you a really cool little note. That's awesome. I mean, you can feel free to share the story, or we could save it for another time.
I'll probably share this, and I've got to close up pretty soon because I've got to eat something. But kind of what led me into wanting to be a wrestler at all was first of all, I watched on TV, so I watched on TV, would rent, and these kids today are spoiled, man, just to throw this out there. They have Peacock and their WWE networks if you're in another country that still exists, and they have all this streaming stuff, and I would spend $20 for 3 discs at Hastings constantly, or $8 for a Ring of Honor tape, and that's how I got my wrestling in, because we didn't have cable for a very long time. That stuff was pretty expensive, and so that's how I got my wrestling in. But the one who always captivated my attention was Terry Funk. Plus, people would talk about him constantly because I'm from Amarillo. Well, one day I'm at home. hanging out at home, and I'm on the computer, and I'm watching wrestling, and I'm trying to study tape, which I did not know how to study tape properly at the time. And then eventually, you know, my dad calls me, hey, go ahead and get ready. There's somebody up here at Pizza Planet. My dad was managing a Pizza Planet at the time, and Terry Funk used to frequent there because it's a local spot. And, there's somebody here that you're going to want to meet. I'm like, well, is it really that important? I'm watching wrestling. He goes, he is a wrestler. I was like, okay, okay. And then he's like, go find your Terry Funk figure because it's Terry Funk. I'm just going to tell you. And I was like, oh my God. So I run, snatch up my Terry Funk figure. I knew right where it was. I grabbed it up. I used to have a bigger box of figures at the time. They were cheaper. Anyway, I snatched it up, ran out the door. I'm literally jumping in the air in my front yard, like over the moon. I'm like 10, maybe 12 years old, and I am just jumping. And I got the ass into this. Usually friends would come to each other's houses. I had friends passing by, like, hey man, you want to go? No, I'm about to meet Terry Funk. Move out of my way. Like, go away. All right, my dad pulls around in his van. He drove with an Astro van at the time, and he can see me just jumping in our front yard because we lived on Patterson, so there's like a straight, narrow path. Anyway, he pulls up. We get in the van, go straight to Pizza Planet, and I see him right away. Recognized him. My dad's like, I didn't even recognize him. I'm like, I do. I know where he's at. So my dad's like, you've got 5 minutes with Terry Funk. He's eating with his family, and like, he has one of the bigger tables that's next to the fireplace, and he's like, you got 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, okay. So I had that in mind because my dad installed, martial art household, installed a lot of respect in me. So I go up to him. He tells me a couple stories, and he signs the back of like the stuff that we take orders on. He signs the back of the paper, and it was it still have it right here in the case. It was to Draven, a future WWE champion for sure. God bless you and your family always. Terry Funk, Hall of Fame in 2010.
That's cool.
And yeah, as soon as I got that, I was like, oh man, I thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Shook his hand, and he gave me like a little half hug, and I was like, yes. And I went and sat down, and I didn't even think to ask him to sign my figure. And so I'm sitting there. Here it is right there too.
Oh, nice.
I'm sitting there at the table. I'm just staring at this piece of paper, like, wow, I just met one of my legends, one of my heroes, and he approaches me. He walks over to me, and he has a very soft-spoken voice off camera. Hey, you want me to shine your figure there? And I was like,
want me to shine your figure for you, Draven?
I was like, no way. I was like, yes, please, absolutely. And just the fact that he took the extra time, to come over there and he asked me to sign my figure. It really solidified to me that, wow, wrestling really is important. I genuinely think that wrestling makes a difference in the world because at the time, was really going through it in life. I was young, but my dad was going through a divorce at the time, and there was some other things that were popping up in life. I had, I'll just put it to you bluntly, my mom and me don't have the best relationship. I still love her to death. I hope she's doing well, but so all that was kind of coming to head at that exact same time. And so he made me feel like none of that was important at that moment. And I was like, man, if I could just elicit that in somebody else at some point in my life, I want that. That's what I think my purpose in life is to do that. And so he just kind of solidified it for me. And yeah, it was just a great story and a great time to meet Terry Funk. And especially as a kid, you're sitting there and you're like, wow, this is the same guy I see on TV, bloody, going through thumbtacks, barbed wire, and even his classic matches. I got to go back and watch some of those. And he was the NWA champion. He's been to the WWE. He's been there, done that 10 times over.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that he's standing in front of me that was enough. But then he gave me that.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. So, I'll give you a Terry Funk story. I got a few of them. The first time I met Terry, he actually once upon a time he had a booth at the Tri-State Fair, which actually kind of happened not too long ago. And I see him and I'm like, oh, you were ECW world champion. And I just go crazy and I'm like, oh, I'm in this, I follow like CM Punk and Samoa Joe and everything like that. And I'm just, I'm just giddy because it was Terry Funk. And my mom comes up because she joined me at the time. Like she was with me at the time. And Terry just looks over at me and then looks over at Mom. And he's like, ma'am, I believe your boy is a wrestling freak. Like he's just so blunt. And then I got to meet Dennis Stamp. So like you've seen the movie Beyond the Mat, where Dennis Stamp is trying to appeal to Terry. Well, it's like, oh, you're on the show, Dennis. You're on the show, and Dennis is like, but Terry, I'm not booked. Like, but you're on the show. Don't worry. And then Dennis has been, I'm not booked. I'm not booked, Terry. And they're going
right. Yeah.
They were going back and forth, and I got to meet Dennis, and Dennis was the nicest guy. He was the nicest guy. And then we'll fast forward a few years later. This was West Texas A&M's final season at Kimbrough Memorial Stadium, which is now Happy State Bank Stadium. And lost Draven. Okay. All right.
Well, I'm back. Am I there?
Yep, you're still here. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll wrap up the story and then I'll let you go. Okay, so so leading up, it was the wagon wheel game. So between West Texas A&M and Eastern New Mexico, Terry has like connections. Like, I mean, he played football at WT. So Kale Steed calls him up because we were both doing stuff for the Amarillo Globe News at the time, and Terry was we called Terry up because he's doing the coin toss. And Kale's like, oh yeah, Terry, just tell us about like your experiences with WT and playing football. And he was like, well, Kale, we just go over there and we kick their ass, and they come over here, we go over there and they kick our ass. And then they do the coin toss, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I will tell this story at cocktail parties until I'm dead. I was hearing that Terry wasn't doing very well. But Terry was moving around really good. He was rocking like a New England Patriots Super Bowl champions T-shirt, and he had a fanny sack. Like it was too good. And then he does the coin toss, and after he's done, I'm like, hey Terry, you look really good. And his response, without skipping a beat, you lie like a dog. And I was like, Terry, why would I lie to you? You lie like a dog. So that is something I will always carry with me. Terry, rest in peace, man. One of the best, man. It represented Amarillo so well. But Draven, I know that you're gonna rock and roll. So I'll let you go. Any parting words for us?
Well, first, I appreciate you having me on here. And
we love having you.
Right there. I always like to say this because I think it's important. Everything that I represent, being the certified go-getter, this is exactly what it means, because I know some people have asked me in the past, and I'm going to say everybody asked me because that's not true. Basically what it meant to me and what this character means to me and who I truly am, because my character is just me turned up by 1,000. What being the certified go-getter means is you wake up in the morning, you're not quite sure how you're going to get something done, but you walk out the door and you start doing it anyway. I didn't know how I was going to make it in wrestling. I didn't know how I was going to travel the world or the roads. I didn't know how I was going to do any of that stuff, but I just woke up and kept pursuing it anyway. If that's you, if you're behind on bills, you're behind in life, or you think you're behind in life, you're probably right where you're supposed to be, and you're still pushing through anyway, you too are a certified go-getter. And I just want somebody to take that today and just keep pushing through, because that's exactly what this character represents, and that's exactly what it's about.
Hell yeah. Love him or hate him, he's got words of wisdom. Okie dokie. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you go get something to eat. And you're more than welcome to come back anytime. Just hit us up. So.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. We'll schedule something out, and I'll be back on soon.
All right. Sounds good. All right. All right. Go get something to eat, man.
Sounds good. I appreciate you having me, Tyler. Thank y'all so much.
You bet you. You bet you. Have a good one. All right. All right. Take care. All right. Okay. That was Draven Reeves. Heck yeah, radio. Squirt Circle Pro. iPPV champion. What a great guy. I mean, I was really, when he hit me up the other day, I was really, really looking forward to having him. Yeah, he's more than welcome to come back anytime. As with Miles Journey, who was our guest last week. So, mad props. Anywho, just want to go over a few bullet points before kind of wrapping this all up. First of all, this is the first Squared Circle Pro hangover as part of the Unfiltered podcast. I'm Tyler Anderson. The internet knows me as Tyler Liger. The next show is Pieces for Quitters, set for Saturday, November 20th. Back at Jake's back room. Back in the back room of Jake's in Lubbock. Doors open up at 5:30. Bell times at 6. In $10 tickets out the door. That is pretty dang affordable, especially in this economy. So yeah, man. I think I'm gonna just turn on a little bit of music. There we go. Get a little bit of music going on in the background. But yes, also I want to do one more plug. It is for Lubbock Wrestling 101. The school, they got October Slam. Oh, hold on. October Slam coming up for October 17th. Just take a screenshot of this. Why don't you? Take a screenshot. $15 as far as advanced tickets, $25 at the door. You're going to see a lot of wrestling. And yeah, from what it seems like, plenty of custom brews at Mano Negra Brewing Company, located at 708 13th Street in Lubbock. Oh, okay. Is that October 11th? I'm sorry. Thanks, Ed. Thanks. Okay. Let me try that again. Okay. All right, look at this real quick. Let's take a screenshot. It is not the 17th. It is the 11th. It's on a Saturday, 7 p.m. Mano Negra Brewing Company. October Slam for Lubbock Pro Wrestling 101. You'll see a lot of young bucks coming up. You'll see a lot of really fun stuff. And then Pieces for Quitters, again, that'll be 6 p.m. on Saturday, November 20th at Jake's Back Room in Lubbock, Texas. So, was that better, Ed? Was that way better? Can you give me one in the chat if I did okay on that second try? I know. Sometimes that, okay, all right. Sometimes like I'll get a little dyslexic. And I'll get a little dyslexic. And I'll misidentify my ones as a 7. But yeah. Anywho. Okay. All right. Got the approval. Fantastic. All right. As far as the next show, we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming next Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Time, right here on YouTube. But this is the end of the hangover. You have fully recovered from a full weekend of professional wrestling, more specifically, Squared Circle Pro Wrestling. Until next time, I'm Tyler Anderson. Tyler Liger. We'll see you soon. See you soon. Take care.